um, HPV today, infection. She's not a doctor, and neither am I, but we know enough, and everyone should, enough to know that this HIV, the HPV infection occur in your body, and it's really a very dangerous thing for us, and we have to talk about it because a lot of people being affected by it in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest. And actually, let me have her introduce herself and tell a little bio about who she is, because some of you in the community would exactly know who she is.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you so much for showing up today. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
And I appreciate it as well. Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. My name is Atahlia Daye-Rogers. I'm a teacher at the secondary school on the that side, at the Sundial School. In my spare time, I create short stories, and over the years I've decided to do more with it and actually turn it into a film. We have made other films in the past, all with educational awareness. We have done Mother Knows Best in 2016, and then in 2015 we did a stage play called The Wedding, and then in 2019 we did a short film called St. Martin Is My Home. Now all of these are bringing educational awareness to something, and we did not stop there. We are now in 2023 about to release our film called Finding BOAZ, and BOAZ is bringing awareness indeed to HPV. So I'm glad that I'm here with you today so that we can further discuss what HPV is all about, the risk that comes with being sexually active too young, and we are hoping that, as the Bible will say, he who have an ear, let him hear what we are saying, because it's all about awareness and it's all about prevention.
Okay, so can you tell me why you decided that you need to do a short film about this particular subject, HPV?
Okay, well, I've had family members who have contracted HPV to the point where they had the extreme stages of cancer, cervical cancer. They had to do the surgery where their womb was removed, and the womb was removed to save their life.
Yes,
to
because it
save her
becomes
life.
cancerous, doesn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, and then you hear of so many other persons who has contracted the HPV. Now that we are now promoting this film and we out in the community, we are hearing men say, but I have HPV. And then you hear other women say, well, I've had HPV, or I have it now. So it's a very common STI, a sexually transmitted infection.
Yes.
But we're trying to reach everyone, because indeed you said abstinence is the best policy to move forward. The Bible preaches about abstinence, and I also tell people that God tells you to wait for a reason. And these are some of the reasons, because if you're sexually active too young, if you're sexually active with multiple partners,
Yes.
and they are also active with multiple partners, you are putting yourself at risk.
Yes.
And you're not only putting yourself at risk for HPV, but there are so many other STIs and STDs out there. And we all want to have a long life expectancy. We want to live life to the fullest. So let's do it responsibly, and let's do it safely. So we're here promoting this film, Finding BOAZ. It's our intention to take it to the schools. An activity booklet with guided questions will be prepared. So here you can see an activity booklet that we prepared for Mother Knows Best. So the questions would be from the film.
The same thing.
So you will see on the screen, and then we will discuss, because the film is written for discussion.
Okay. So Finding BOAZ, tell us who BOAZ is.
Okay.
Because when Finding BOAZ, people will say, well, what exactly does that mean? And then you're talking really about HPV, so
Yes.
what does BOAZ have to do with HPV?
Great question. Now BOAZ, if you know your Bible story, BOAZ is a Bible character. In the Bible, he's considered to be what we call a decent human being. He's a decent man, and I keep on stressing that he respects women. In the Bible, he was a businessman, he was rich, and we keep on saying that from his lineage, which is the truth, came the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, in the Bible, BOAZ was not married, but he met, there was a match made, and he met Ruth. And Ruth's mother-in-law, gave her an advice. We want BOAZ to notice you, so I'm going to tell you to do something which in our time it will be considered not the best advice. Actually, it will be considered a bad advice. And there's where the concept of that BOAZ respects women comes in. But her advice was, we want Boaz to notice you. You're working in his field, but up until now he did not see you. So her mother-in-law was like, okay, he lives over there. Please go visit him at night and sit beside his bedside. And when he gets up, then he will notice you and then tells you what to do further. So in our time, it would be considered bad advice. Why would you send a young lady to go to a male's bedside at night, putting herself at risk? Because we know what happens with men in the wee hours of the morning. That's at the time where their manhood is at its strongest. But that was the mother-in-law advice, and Boaz did notice her, and he told her, listen, I'm gonna tell my workmen to leave more wheat for you in the field, because now he's telling her, I am now beginning to see you. Okay? And he did not do anything to her, and there's where the respect of women comes in. So when we speak about finding Boaz, we're speaking about finding a good man, finding a man that would be loyal and faithful, a man that would have one sexual partner at a time, before having multiples and moving in between multiple partners. So Boaz is all about being a good man. Okay?
Okay, very good, because that kind of threw the whole thing from HPV to finding Boaz.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening within this film, because we know that the HPV is a very serious subject, and basically, this infection is very, very serious, and I'm really glad that you're bringing it to light, even in a film, and you're saying making it on the light side, so people will understand, what's going on. Because often in this community, and I know a lot of our communities, people don't want to. There's some subject people just don't want to talk about.
Yes.
They want to keep it, they want to keep it private and say it's something that we just don't talk about.
Yeah.
But in order for us to be able to educate youth as teenagers and for our parents to be educated, we have to talk about it. It has to be a subject, and we have to find a way to talk about it. So now you found a way within the film to do a film and actually make it on the light side. So sometimes that's the best way to approach people in something when people feel uncomfortable about.
Yes. Indeed, and with it comes the activity booklet with guided questions. So in your youth group or in your home with your family, as a parent, you can show the film and discuss it as well. And it's important that we have the correct discussion, because if we don't have the correct guided discussion with the young people, guess what? They're going to know about it, and they may know about it the wrong way.
Wrong way. Among peers. We're oftentimes peers, and just like the other STDs and STIs that I talked about, a lot of times they talk to each other, maybe say, I feel comfortable, this is happening to me, but they won't talk to an adult about it.
And that is true.
So a lot of times it's easier for us to make it a topic where we enlighten it, and to make sure that it's not something that people need to be uncomfortable about.
Yes, and then we can tell them all the intricacies about it, and then they will learn about it the right way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the film without giving away too much.
Okay. Well, I'll share the synopsis of the film. Can I read it? I'll
Yes.
read it. Okay.
Yes.
So Eve Gray, that's the name of our main character, Eve Gray. She struggles with knowing her worth and demanding it from her boyfriend, Arnold. During her relationship with Arnold, she experiences continuous disappointment, lies, disrespect, and deceit. A health check by Dr. Marcus puts her in an emotional whirlwind with her diagnosis of being infected with HPV. She reminisces on happy days of her childhood and receives encouraging words and support from Grandma Grace and her crazy best friend Bella, who challenges her not to settle for nothing but the best. Mr. James comes along, releases her from her past, and shows her the true meaning of love. So in this film, it has two parts. Part one, the beginning, deals with deceit in a relationship where there's infidelity, where someone is unfaithful, and it's our indirect way of showing how HPV can be moved around, how it can be spread.
Yeah, from partner to partner, which is one of the huge risks we're talking about.
Yes.
It's one thing to be sexually active when you're thinking that you're going to be sexually active with the boyfriend or girlfriend that you fall in love as a teen.
Yes.
But remember, as a teenager, you have so many more years to go, so many more people to interact with.
So much things to do with your life.
Yes,
in terms of self-development, personal development.
And all of those things. And then oftentimes when you talk to someone who are like us, who are adults, we will tell you in a minute we had a crush about your age, teenager. That one person when we were your age that we loved, and you know that was the person you know you're gonna be with forever, but it never worked out that way.
Yes.
All right. So so when you're thinking about that, the multiple partners and having a number of sexual partners is not a good thing, because more than likely, especially if you're not serious about that person, more than likely they're not serious about you.
Yes.
So they've seen someone else, and that's really how this HPV in sexually in transmitted disease, or transmitted is a very important word. Infection and disease happen because of multiple partners.
And it doesn't have to necessarily mean that there is sexual intercourse.
No.
It's all about body fluid. So if you're touching and if you're having oral sex, you know, if you're touching each other with your fingers and such, you can also spread HPV.
Right. And then and that's what we want to say too is that so oftentimes teenagers or your teens will think that, or if we have oral sex,
that we're safe.
We're safe. Yeah. That means that we're not having sex. But anything that have to do with the genital area, and it, just like that, you know, Miss Day said, you know, touching or anything like that, that's transmitting something to another person.
Yes.
And oral sex and having oral sex is also a way of transmitting any type of sexual infection. Okay.
Yes. Because a lot of young people think that, you know, if they're not getting pregnant, that they're safe.
Yes.
You know, but we need to get them out from that. You know, we have gone long past that. You know, you don't have to get pregnant. That's not the only risk of being sexually active, pregnancy, but you can get STIs and STDs. So we're here just to spread the awareness. And HPV is one of those infections that is very and highly infectious. It is high risk. It has different strains to it, and certain strains leads into cancer, and other strains gives you genital warts as well.
Yes, right. And those are some of the signs.
Yes.
But a lot of times, to even getting this infection, it takes a while before it manifests itself.
Yes.
Right.
And what in my studies, what I've realized also, and I said thank God for this, because if you, let's say, remain monogamous in a monogamous relationship, both you and your partner, your body can actually, depending on what strain you have, heal itself from HPV.
Yes. The actual premiere of the movie is this coming, what is it?
Next week Thursday.
Next week Thursday.
Yes.
So that would be the premiere. But I think if your parents there would be a good opportunity on the 12th, right?
Yes, to come with your teens.
Your teens.
Yes.
Because, you know, oftentimes too, we know as parents and teenagers, let's say, so sometimes parents are very uncomfortable talking to you about the subject of sex.
Yes.
So this would be a really good opportunity too for parents to bring the teens.
Yes.
You know, 16 and over though, 16 and over.
16 plus, because it is written, it's strongly written, but it is very relatable. So as adults, we can relate to what's in there. It's very relatable, but it is written for discussion.
Right.
So a lot of discussions will spin off from what you see in the film, and that's exactly what we want. We want us to discuss.
Okay, so this I highly recommend that, you know, if you can't make it, there's quite a few. Is there a website that they can go up on?
Yes, you can visit Write the Vision, which is WRITE, Write the Vision, VISION. Production. You can visit us on all social media platforms. We're on YouTube, and you can see the trailer there of the film. You can see some discussion threads as well of the film, and then you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram.
Okay, so those are all the things to I know your teenagers are very sophisticated when it comes to the especially Instagram. I heard that's your favorite now. I was gonna do Facebook, but I'm hearing Instagram is something that you guys can go up
Instagram.
on. Yes, go up on and take a look, and because there's quite a few dates. This is running for quite a few dates.
Because we want everyone to see it, and we also have early bird specials running. So St. Martin, it's a film that's about us. It's a film that can help us, and we want all of us to come out to see it.
Right.
You know,
Because,
it's educating and it's also entertaining.
right, because this would be given a good opportunity, you know, to learn a little bit more about HPV.
Yes.
And then we know that in the United States, I know the Mayo Clinic in the United States, even going to gynecological
Yes.
checkups for girls. Right now, for young women, it's highly recommended to get the actual
The vaccine.
the vaccine.
Yes. So
It's
Martin,
very,
the Dutch
very-
side, I don't know about the French side, but I know that the Dutch side, the vaccine started here on the Dutch side in 2013,
Yes.
and the girls ages 9 to 10
Mhm.
can get the vaccine on the Dutch side.
As young as 9 to 10
9
years
to
old.
10. And I think all over the world it's recommended at that age,
Right.
at age
So
9 to 10, to catch them before, you know,
Anything before they even start to become
Before they
sexually
start.
active, which is
before they
you know,
start being inquisitive.
yes, because and that's actually the best way to keep
Yeah,
it
that's
under
the best
control.
way.
But
Yes.
Again, you know, there's always some signs with this HPV. There's some signs that do not be shy if you see there's any kind of wart discoloration on
Yeah.
your genital area, any
Yes,
area
and
that you
foul
start
smell.
to and
Foul
that you see
discharge.
even things with even the STDs that we talked about before, the 4 STDs, those there's asymptomatic, basically you don't feel anything,
Yes.
but there's always some signs.
Yes.
You know, like, there might be a discharge, there might be a foul smell, there might be
Right.
something that's unusual. Don't feel
Yes.
shy. Don't, talk to your parents about it. And the same thing goes for boys,
Yes.
talk to your dad if you don't want to talk to your mom about
Yes,
it.
yes.
You know,
or
if there's
a trusted person at
right,
school.
if there's no
Yeah.
father in the house,
Yeah.
even an older adult in the family,
Yes,
older male
that you
adult,
trust,
you can
yes.
trust a trusted adult, we say, because we know that all adults, because the adults, you can't trust every adult when it
Yes.
comes to even sexual things. So, because we know some of the biggest predators among sexual assault on children are sometimes people close to them.
Close to the church.
Yeah, close,
unfortunately. Yes.
could even be family members,
Unfortunately.
but someone that you trust. So if shown any of those signs, if something, the discoloration, you start seeing a different, feel in your skin,
Yeah.
you can always talk to someone, especially in private areas. You need to talk to someone, a trusted adult, school, church,
Yes.
wherever. So and someone in the family, it doesn't have to be if you don't want to talk to a parent, you feel like you can't talk to your parent, talk to someone you trust in the family that
Yes.
that can help you out with it. Don't let it go by. And especially when it comes to HPV, we know that can lead to cancer,
Yes.
and it's a very,
In
very
both men
serious
and
thing.
women.
Yes.
Studies has been done to see how strong the link is to prostate cancer in men.
Mhm.
So
So that's a study that
the
and that's-
study is still ongoing. I guess in time when they have enough data, then we will know if there's how strong the link is.
Yeah, so which is something as the prostate cancer is a very
For men.
prevalent, strong thing within our community.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of men don't even like the exam that's involved. It's a
So
simple
true.
exam,
But it's not simple for them.
Yes, where we as women has
Yes.
always been comfortable. We
Yeah.
get indoctrinated at a very young age to go to the gynecologist
Yes,
to be able
do the regular checkups.
to be regular checkup, but
Yes.
men unfortunately don't go to that length of getting those annuals. We call them annuals, So that's something that we need to really look into. But again, I am just really excited about this, and I'm
Yes.
going to make sure I come to at least the premiere
Just come.
to see what's going on
What's
with it.
going on. And we're going to make it special. It's a St. Martin product, and we are hoping to make it as special as we can. We're very excited about it.
Yeah, and where
The
is this
buzz-
going to be?
It's going to be at Ali's Convention Hall. That's in Madam Estate.
Madam Estate.
Some people may know it as the Farmer Bowling Alley.
Okay.
It's a nice space. It is by a local. It is owned by a local. So we're keeping it local.
Okay, very
And then
good.
all the other nights will be at the Cultural Center for the additional screenings.
All right. So have you had any opportunity to get any schools involved? in this?
Well, we are working on sponsorship for the 12th. So as much as we can, that the school children that comes, that they do not have to pay to see it. The sponsorship is beginning to roll in. So the schools will be hearing from our school.
Okay,
the
so
high school
what kind of
students.
sponsorship are you asking
we
for?
have the Prime Minister. Well, I guess we can talk it out.
Yeah.
Well, she has sponsored for a few students to come. So, and then we're working at other organizations to do the same. But the
Okay.
Prime Minister has been the first, and so some students on her behalf will be attending and getting the information.
So if you if there's any sponsors out there, it doesn't have to be the government. It could be a
It
store
can be,
or
exactly,
anything.
it can be a
If
store or
anyone
anything.
is interested in
Yes.
the sponsorship, how can they contact you?
Okay, my phone number is 520-1814, 520-1814, or you can direct message on Instagram to our page, or on Facebook as well, also on our page. We have reached out to businesses, so businesses, if you're listening, please respond.
Yes, please do. You know,
Yes.
again, this have everything to do with teenagers, but it just
Yes.
might be your teenager too.
Yes.
Because you got to remember, if this is a community problem, is not hiding just for one particular group. Is a community effort, and if you can help out with that, and then it could be individual donation too.
It can
If
be
you're out
individual.
there.
And there are person
Uh-huh.
who have donated individually.
Okay.
There are person who say, listen, I'm going to buy a ticket, give it to anybody else.
Right.
So we appreciate help from all angles. It takes money to do everything, but we're not making money our focus. We want to get the awareness
Yeah,
out
the
there.
awareness. And what happened too, if you're a parent and you have some children, if you can afford to bring one other child with you,
That would be great.
that would be good to do that and reach out, because I think this is so important. And I think this conversation will happen again, because I had another guest that was also going to be here with me, but with the scheduling, it became a scheduling issue. And we're probably going to continue this conversation maybe next week regarding the STDs. But this is just so ironic, because when you came to talk on
Sunday.
on a Sunday program with Mr. Rolox, I was like really wow. I said, this is exactly what I'm going to do in this week.
And
so it was
you know,
timing
and
was
we'll say that that's
everything.
how God works. You know,
Mhm.
everything is in God's timing. I guess this is the time for it to be released.
Right.
And this is the time for the conversations to be had. I do know that since the pandemic, a lot of our young people, they're now on their phones because they were away from school and they had to tune into classes via their phones, and now they are exposed to so much stuff. So now is the time. We need to get our young people back on focus, back on priorities of taking care of themselves, back on priorities of being abstinent, and back on the priorities of delayed sexuality.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
exactly, because
Delayed
again,
sexuality, because being on their smartphones, they are open to so much stuff.
yes,
And if a parent is not checking, you have no idea what is being shared and what your son or daughter has been exposed to.
right. So this is the other thing, and I know I always say to my teen listeners out there for Teen Talk, they are so much more sophisticated than I am when they go up on the internet. So again, go up. I always tell them, go up and Google and search HPV on your own and
Yeah,
see,
and see.
to try to keep yourself safe.
Yes.
Because again, this program is teens from 13 to 19, and when you'd be talking about the premiere is going to be for 16 plus, just because
it's written for discussion.
Yes.
But there's some parents who say, listen, my child is not 16, but I'm going to bring them.
okay.
So I appreciate the parents who acknowledge the reality that we're in. Just like you open up the program, we're not gonna be the ostrich and bury our head in the sand and pretend that it's not out there. No, there are some parents who are in tune with reality, and that's what we want.
Yes, because we have to be real about it, because
we have to
if
be
this is
real
spreading, is because it's happening.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We're
Yes.
happening, and we're living in a community
Yes.
where this is happening, and then like our teens. And then the one thing I also want to say too, but if you have to be sexually active, you have to find a way to keep yourself safe.
Yes.
Condoms are one of the things that I need to come right out and say it. One of the things is this condoms. Use a condom. And if you have to have sex, but again, abstinence is always the best.
Yes, abstinence is the best. And one thing I also want to add is that if you're in a group of friends and if they're instigating sexual activity, walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away. If your friends are encouraging
Peer
you to
pressure
do this,
is a huge,
walk
huge
away.
problem. Yeah.
I mean, if you're feeling pressured today, then tomorrow you have a choice. Do I still want to hang around them and be pressured, or do I want to listen to my mom or my dad and take a distance just to be safe?
Right.
So young people, we want to empower you, as they would say. Do not be pressured into having sex or sexual relations or anything of that nature too early. because the risks are there.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
engage too early, you're putting yourself at risk.
Right, because we talk about HPV, but we ain't talking about AIDS.
Yes.
That's another thing that's
That's
a huge,
another
and that's like almost what
Yes.
they, at one point it used to be a death sentence, but of course
Yeah.
now with medication, things like that. So
Yeah.
there's just so much out there.
But do you know that the Dutch Caribbean has the highest HIV status?
I know.
So,
There was a young
it's
lady who was
crazy.
talking that was
Yeah.
actually doing a
Out
program
of all
on
of
it.
the Dutch Caribbean islands, St. Martin has the highest.
Exactly, and you know what is funny? We don't have the statistics really
Yeah.
to talk about. We could say it because we know of
Really,
people,
yes.
because we're
Yes.
in a community, and that's why statistics and the government did do census. They're doing the census. I know they were doing the census on the Dutch side,
Yes, yes.
and I guess they started doing the census on the French side, and going into homes and just trying to find about the population. But we really need to also be doing census on other things.
Yes.
We need statistics. The actual premiere of the movie is this coming, what is it?
Next week, Thursday.
Next week, Thursday.
Yes.
So that would be the premiere. But I think for you parents, there would be a good opportunity on the 12th, right?
Yes, yes,
For
to
the
come
parents
with
to
your teens.
Your teen.
Forgive me